I'm Kristen Miller, President and CEO of the Santa Barbara South Coast Chamber of Commerce, from Goleta to Carpinteria. We represent 1,100 members and 75,000 jobs in the region. Thank you for tuning in today to the Santa Barbara State of the City. After an unprecedented 15 months due to the pandemic, we're again faced with the unknown. June 15th marked the start of our return to normalcy, and we're looking forward to the full reopening of our state. But we're still unsure what full reopening looks like and how long the next phase of recovery will take. Santa Barbara is a unique community, a cherished coastal destination with a vibrant business community. Steeped in rich history, businesses look to the future for innovation, entrepreneurship, and our growing tech hub. Innovative businesses are providing meaningful jobs, although obviously this year has been much more of a challenge. The Chamber works together with the City of Santa Barbara to enhance the local economy and jobs, and we're delighted to be here today at the Chamber's Visitor Center in downtown Santa Barbara. We opened this beautiful center with Visit Santa Barbara in 2019 to highlight our area's unique amenities, promote local makers, and guide visitors to their next adventure. The center welcomes thousands of visitors a year, and this last year has served as a hub for safety information, helping people explore our community safely. Santa Barbara benefits greatly from our visitors, who provide a large source of revenue to the city to pay for services our residents enjoy. Business recovery after the pandemic will involve working closely together as a community between business, government, healthcare, and education. Our speakers today will help illustrate our goals moving forward and highlight some challenges we have faced together. We thank them for their support. I'd like to thank all of our speakers today, and we're grateful for our continued partnership with the City of Santa Barbara, and pleased to bring the business community this presentation featuring updates from the city, school district, business, and healthcare. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce our Chair of the Board, Kirsten McLaughlin.
Good morning. I'm Kirsten McLaughlin, Market Vice President for Cox Communications and Chair of the Board for the Santa Barbara South Coast Chamber of Commerce, from Goleta to Carpinteria. Thank you all for tuning in today to our Santa Barbara State of the City. Cox is so proud to support the communities we serve. By providing residential and business connectivity solutions, we continue to invest in the local economy and jobs here in Santa Barbara. And as we are all more reliant on our virtual connections than ever before, we are aggressively investing in our network and our infrastructure to ensure we continue to provide you, our customers, the very best telecommunications services to connect you with what matters most today and in the future. Cox Communications has been a longtime supporter of the region's chambers of commerce, and we are proud to be a returning title sponsor for this great event. We were a champion of the historic merger of the three chambers here on the South Coast, as we worked closely with each organization and knew that great things could happen for our economy and our community as we all work more closely together. As we approach the one-year mark, our mergerversary, as we have coined it, the Chamber is proud of all we have achieved, and we know it's just the beginning. I want to thank Kristen and the entire Chamber staff for their incredible commitment and hard work this past year, navigating through not only the merger, but a global pandemic and economic downturn. Much of our efforts over the past year have been focused on pandemic recovery. One of the first projects the Santa Barbara South Coast Chamber embarked on was our Roadmap to Recovery. This initiative helped create milestones and markers for our economic recovery, and we are so grateful to see our resilient community operating safely and coming out of the pandemic. But we know recovery is not going to happen overnight. We are preparing to launch phase 2 of our Roadmap to Recovery at the end of this month, which will highlight several other milestones and areas of focus for our communities as we recover over the next several years. We have learned a lot over the last 15 months and are grateful to all of our members who have participated in countless focus groups as we have gathered information to help us collectively prepare for the next phase of recovery in all industries. Our merged chamber is proud to represent 1,100 business members and 70,000 jobs on the South Coast. And we want to thank all of our members for your continued commitment and resilience. We have a fantastic program for you today, featuring a variety of speakers giving us an update on the state of the city of Santa Barbara. We are delighted to have the following guests. From the city of Santa Barbara, we have Jason Harris, Economic Development Manager. From Santa Barbara Unified School District, we have Superintendent Dr. Hilda Maldonado. Kathy Janega-Dykes, President and CEO of Visit Santa Barbara. Ron Werft, President and CEO of Cottage Health. And Francois DeJohn, partner with Hayes Commercial Group. The city of Santa Barbara also has an important mayoral election coming up this November. We have several candidates joining us today to give an update on their business priorities. Thank you for tuning in and for your ongoing support of the Chamber. It is now my pleasure to bring back our President and CEO, Kristen Miller.
Thank you, Kirsten. The State of the City series is one of the Chamber's signature presentations, and we thank you all for tuning in today to hear important updates from our local leaders. The Chamber provides informational forums such as the annual State of the City, and this production would not be possible without the support of our generous sponsors. We're extremely grateful for the continued and growing support from our business community from Goleta to Carpinteria. A big thank you to our generous sponsors that have made this production possible. Thank you to our presenting sponsors, Cox Communications and Montecito Bank and Trust. Thank you to our corporate sponsors, Agilent Technologies, Atlantic Aviation, the Braille Institute, Community West Bank, Cottage Health, Courtyard Marriott Santa Barbara Goleta, Decker's Brands, ExxonMobil, Marburg Industries, Marriott Residence Inn, NewsHawk, Pacific Coast Business Times, Pacific Premier Bank, Sansum Clinic, Santa Barbara City College Foundation, Santa Barbara Zoo, Signature Flight Support, Southern California Edison, the Tobes Group, UCLA Health, UC Santa Barbara, and Village Properties. Thank you to our event sponsors as well, the Ritz-Carlton Bacara, Brownstein Hyatt Farber Schreck, Chevron, Latitude 34 Technologies, Plains All-American Pipeline, Santa Barbara Airport, Santa Barbara Independent. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our presenting sponsor, Montecito Bank and Trust. Please join me in welcoming Janet Garufas.
Good morning. My name is Janet Garufas, and it's my privilege to serve as the Chairman and CEO of Montecito Bank and Trust. As presenting sponsor and a proud board member of the Santa Barbara South Coast Chamber, it's my honor to speak with you today. And I want to thank the Chamber for hosting this forum and for unknowingly selecting what turned out to be such a serendipitous date, as many in our community have been eagerly but cautiously awaiting the day when we might safely reopen our community and the state of California. Like many, I've been very impressed with Kristen Miller and her team, but who knew she carried a crystal ball with her too? I want to commend Kristen Miller, her staff, and my fellow board members for their unwavering leadership this past year, not only in navigating the COVID-19 environment, but in artfully and skillfully bringing together the Carpinteria, Goleta, and Santa Barbara Chambers of Commerce. I don't believe there could have been a more fortuitous moment to bring the strengths of those three organizations together. A year ago, I would not have imagined that we'd be speaking to you virtually again, but I'm thrilled about the progress our communities continue to make on the road to recovery from the global pandemic. And over the last 12 months, Kristen's leadership and vision has enabled her team and the Chamber's Board of Directors to do what a local Chamber of Commerce does best: advocate for their business community. From working tirelessly to bring forward as much information as possible in a timely and succinct manner, to ensuring businesses had access to the resources they needed, the South Coast Chamber has been a critical support system for businesses of all sizes across Santa Barbara and the greater South Coast communities. They have renewed and established deeper relationships with many of you and grown membership to new highs. As we continue working on the region's economic recovery roadmap, I know that the voice of business in our region, the Santa Barbara South Coast Chamber, is eager to continue helping our business community navigate and make the most of this next chapter. The choices we make now to support our community members, our children and schools, and our local businesses from the economic impacts of the pandemic will leave lasting imprints on the future of the Central Coast. This is a defining moment for our communities, and it certainly has been a defining moment for Montecito Bank and Trust and our associates. Whether face-to-face in our branches or at a home remotely, each of our associates has maneuvered through their own personal pandemic response to serve our communities, and they have been present in a way that is at the core of what community banking is all about. It is that teamwork and commitment to our communities that enabled us to work with so many organizations during the SBA's Paycheck Protection Program, providing more than 3,500 loans totaling over $320 million of PPP funds to businesses across the Central Coast. I've been incredibly proud to lead our team, and I'm certain a lot of you, business owners and leaders, have seen this same kind of camaraderie and dedication to get the job done in your own businesses. We are proud to continue to work alongside you and see what we can accomplish next together. I look forward to starting to actually see familiar faces once again, welcome clients into the bank whenever I'm at a branch, frequenting some of my favorite local shops and stores, and of course, to the day when we can all safely gather again in person. This has certainly been one of the greatest challenges of our lifetime, but I know that our communities will prevail if we stick together. And now I have the honor of introducing Jason Harris from the city of Santa Barbara. Jason?
Good morning, Santa Barbara, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Jason Harris, the city's Economic Development Manager. I want to thank the Santa Barbara South Coast Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event. It is a privilege to have the opportunity to address you. Each year, we come together to talk about where we have been as a community and where we are going. This past year has been extremely difficult for us all. Businesses, schools, nonprofits in the city were all required to close or dramatically alter operations, reduce staffing, and cut expenses in response to the COVID-19 public health emergency and the associated economic impacts. We experienced an economic downturn more crippling than any since the Great Depression. This pandemic has tested us in every possible way and shown how interconnected everything is. However, we have remained resilient throughout. We have much to be thankful for. The resilience of our businesses, the resilience of our healthcare and academic institutions, and the resilience of Santa Barbans. The city took dramatic steps to support businesses, open outdoors, and reposition downtown State Street into a new operating environment. The city entered into new partnerships with the Chamber, the County, Santa Barbara Foundation to support businesses reopen. Operators and owners have modified their enterprises to provide a safe environment for their employees and customers. We know that the pandemic brought with it new challenges, particularly for small businesses, healthcare and frontline workers, and we thank them for their service and perseverance. The pandemic also exacerbated long-standing challenges related to housing and homelessness. However, even in this protracted period of uncertainty, there are signs of hope. Santa Barbara is a unique and beautiful destination where people want to live, work, and play, and we are prepared to welcome visitors back. I'm excited to see hotel occupancy is increasing and businesses are reopening. In addition, the state of California and the federal government is providing financial assistance that our restaurants, retailers, and other small businesses can utilize. As we transition to a full reopening, recovery of our businesses and the economy is the priority. To guide the city's efforts, the City Council is adopting a 3-year economic development plan that provides a roadmap to strengthen the city's economy and improve the business climate. The city is committed to supporting local businesses and commercial districts citywide. The city is committed to cultivating a business-friendly organization that understands the importance of commerce and new investment. And the city is committed to strengthening downtown as the regional hub for retail, entertainment, art and culture, higher education, and business. The ability to implement these strategies relies upon multi-departmental coordination across the city organization and strong collaborative relationships with community partners such as the Chamber of Commerce. Council is approving the creation of an economic development program with the mission to strengthen the city's economy and enhance downtown vibrancy while providing for social equity and environmental protection and celebrating the city's historic character, cultural resources, and the arts. The city is focused on fortifying the foundations of our economy, vibrant commercial districts, thriving businesses, and a positive business climate that will encourage investment in the community. Implementation of the Economic Development Plan involves multiple work efforts and building new partnerships to leverage the limited resources to address the greatest needs, challenges, and opportunities facing Santa Barbara. Through communication and outreach, the city will support business with assistance and training to help recovery and growth, improve city procurement practices and outreach to increase local purchasing opportunities, and ensure business assistance information and services are provided in Spanish. Through new initiatives, the city will promote commercial districts throughout the city, facilitate the creation of property and business improvement districts, and assist the growth of key industries to help diversify the economy, as well as cooperate on business retention, expansion, and attraction efforts. The city is steadfast in improving the land development processes to ensure the city customers know of the process improvements and seek and provide their feedback. The city's commercial districts are critical to maintaining the quality of life we enjoy. Encouraging residents to support businesses by shopping locally is one basic act residents can do to strengthen the economy and support local businesses in the community. It is important to recognize that downtown serves as the commercial and civic center of Santa Barbara and operates as a regional hub of academics, entertainment, art, and culture. The area has unique challenges, but so many opportunities. The closure of downtown State Street has created expanded outdoor dining and a promenade environment that is an enhancement to the connection to the Funk Zone and the waterfront, and it will provide a place for new special events. Supporting infill housing development in the downtown will aid in the revitalization as the area welcomes new residents. Also, there are many opportunities of adaptive reuse of retail spaces to accommodate entertainment and higher education uses to the area, and the abundance of co-work spaces that support many entrepreneurs and new startup companies in the city are an important element. The new downtown spaces that State Street has created also provide a platform for new art and cultural events and opportunities to attract locals and keep shoppers in the district to support the new local and regional businesses that are opening. Our recovery is certain, but it must be crafted and invested together. The city is committed to creating a prosperous economy, and we hope you join in this effort. I would like to introduce the next speaker today, Santa Barbara Unified School District Superintendent, Dr. Hilda Maldonado. Thank you.
Thank you so much to the Chamber of Commerce for inviting me to contribute here today to the important community conversation about the state of the city from the perspective of our region's largest public school district, Santa Barbara Unified. I'd like to begin by giving my heartfelt gratitude to all of the many partners, business leaders, and supporters in our community who through thick and thin have been there to contribute to the students of our district, particularly during one of the most challenging and unpredictable school years in history. Our community stepped up in many ways during this pandemic. They provided donations to help us make sure 100% of our students were connected to Wi-Fi when our schools abruptly moved to distance learning. They helped us ensure that all children had access to free and nutritious meals at locations all across the city. And they made it possible for us to create academic learning centers when so many of our families found themselves with serious childcare concerns. When we returned to in-person learning and had to leave classroom doors and windows open, we were able to get jackets for students who badly needed them. We are so grateful to the Santa Barbara Education Foundation for assisting us in mobilizing support from the many generous and caring members of our community. Santa Barbara Unified employs close to 1,400 full-time employees, as well as another 600 part-time employees, making us one of the largest employers on the South Coast. We have about 13,000 students in transitional kindergarten through 12th grade across 18 schools. Our district also includes about 1,300 students in 3 charter elementary schools, as well as about 160 preschool students. About 50% of our student population is considered socioeconomically disadvantaged, and about 13% of those students are designated as homeless because they live in distressed housing situations. District-wide, 15% of our students are what we call emerging multilingual students. The percent of students who are learning English as a new language is even higher in our primary grades. Since joining SB Unified on July 1st, almost 1 year ago, I've been in the mode of listening, learning, and leading, through a pandemic with the goal of keeping our staff and students safe and reopening our campuses to full in-person learning as soon as possible. We were able to do so successfully across our district in early spring, which meant our schools were able to end the school year in a more traditional fashion, including hosting COVID-safe events like award ceremonies, proms, in-person graduations, and other memorable occasions that our students, families, and staff were so grateful to celebrate. This summer, we have created a unique 6-week Summer of Learning program for more than 3,000 students, which includes academics in the morning and all kinds of activities and experiences throughout the community in the afternoon. We're so pleased that even after one of the most challenging years of their careers, we have 240 teachers who have stepped up this summer to help our students continue learning before we dive back into the new school year on August 17th. Our teachers are truly the heart and soul of our community, and I cannot express my gratitude enough. Not unlike public education systems across the nation, Santa Barbara Unified has long grappled with inequitable academic outcomes between students of high and low socioeconomic backgrounds. Our district sees pockets of success, but not system-wide results for many of our students, including those who are socioeconomically disadvantaged, emergent multilingual, foster and or homeless students, and those with special needs. Cumulatively, these historically underserved populations make up the majority of our student population. We simply must do better, and we can. Let me share a few examples of concerns. Compared to their peers, our Latinx students are more than 3 times as likely to be misidentified as having a specific learning disability. Latinx students are underrepresented in advanced courses and are less likely than their white peers to attend college. A college and career-going culture is not evident for all students. According to a state measure that evaluates how well districts and schools are preparing students for success after high school, 74% of Santa Barbara Unified's white students are prepared for college and career, compared to 38% of Latinx students. This is unacceptable because we know our students can and must do better, and all of us educators must pay attention to this. There are fewer Latinx students meeting A through G requirements and the mandatory coursework of all high school students and must complete in order to qualify for attending a California State University or a University of California campus. They need more access and opportunities to thrive in these classes. We all know that schools are the focal point of our communities, serving not just as places of learning, but also resources for social, emotional, and mental well-being. Our schools are also safe havens, representing a resource of belonging and connectedness. While Santa Barbara Unified has many impressive outcomes for our students, like high graduation rates, scholar awards, students being accepted to the finest universities in the world, we believe we're only as good as our lowest performing students. Our community benefits when our youth feel connected, when they feel seen, heard, and valued for what they bring to the school door each day. As Santa Barbara Unified enters its 155th year, we reflect on lessons learned from the pandemic crisis and look to build on the momentum of a national, societal awakening and call for educational and social justice. We see public education as the lever for change and growth, and we know that we will need vision, leadership, courage, resources, community, and action to create true change. Our school leaders will continue to take a listen, learn, and lead approach while working in collaboration with our invaluable community partners. My goal is that our entire community feels the same sense of urgency to care for all our youth, lift them up, and understand that when they rise, we all rise. Let me tell you a story about a couple of students that grew up in our community. Twin sisters who went to UCLA. Their mother was a single mom of 5 students. They have gone on to UCLA, gotten their teaching credentials, and are now teachers in our school district because we invested in growing our own. I invite you to join us in this work, and thank you again for the opportunity to address you today.
Hello, I'm Jeff Zamora, Field Service Supervisor for Cox Communications. I was born and raised in the great city of Goleta, and I've been a proud member of Team Cox here in Santa Barbara region for more than 25 years. I'm thankful that I'm able to work, live, and raise my family in this region. Here at Cox Communications, we know our customers are more reliant on us than ever with so much of our work, school, and personal lives happening virtually, and we don't take that responsibility lightly. We have invested $15 billion in our infrastructure across the country over the past 10 years, and we are currently investing another $10 billion over the next 5 years to enhance our network and enable future technologies, including many projects here on the South Coast. Given this unparalleled demand, we have accelerated many local network upgrade projects to meet your needs now in these unprecedented times. Additionally, we're nearing the completion of our huge renovation to our Santa Barbara campus. The cornerstone of this project is a brand new critical facility, the building that holds all the back-end equipment and technology that powers our services throughout the area, or as I like to call it, the brains of the operation. When the new critical facility is complete and online later this year, it will power the smart homes, businesses, and communities of today and in the future. As many of you know, we have also doubled down our efforts to support our customers and community this year. As of last month, qualified households can participate in the Emergency Broadband Benefit Program. This government-funded program, which is open to all eligible Americans for only a limited time, is available to provide financial assistance for internet service. Eligible families may qualify to receive up to $50 off their monthly bill based on their current internet service and equipment rental, or up to $75 if they live in a tribal area. We raised our hand without hesitation to help administer the government's program and deliver whatever financial relief is available for however long in order to help our Santa Barbara area customers during this challenging time. More information can be found at cox.com/EBB apply. It is now my honor to introduce Kathy Janega-Dykes from Visit Santa Barbara.
Good morning. My name is Kathy Janega-Dykes. It has been my great privilege to serve as President and CEO of Visit Santa Barbara. My team of 12 employees and I understand what an honor it is to represent and promote this very special place. For those audience members who are not familiar with destination marketing, our primary role is to promote the Santa Barbara South Coast for leisure travel, meetings and events, as well as film production. Essentially, our job is to bring people into the community who make a positive economic impact. So while we're a marketing agency first and foremost, we're also very active in local initiatives, particularly those that impact the visitor's experience. For example, air service development, such as attracting Southwest Airlines to Santa Barbara. But we're also very invested in downtown's redevelopment and addressing complex, all-hands-on-deck issues like homelessness. All that to say, we're very active in this community and very passionate about Santa Barbara optimizing its potential for the benefit of visitors and residents alike. So when the pandemic hit last year, we knew we had to put our resources to use to support the community using all of the tools and platforms at our disposal. Our mission was to keep as many businesses in operation as possible and therefore save as many hospitality influence jobs as possible. We also served as a source of information for the hospitality industry and key external audiences, including media, travel trade, and meeting planners. Because while the travel industry may have been at a standstill, we had to prepare for the day travel reopened and future recovery. And due to that broad and targeted communication focus, one positive outcome of the pandemic is that we're more closely connected to our local residents than ever before. We saw the local community getting more engaged following our social media channels to really keep up to date with news of openings and updated guides and newly relevant topics like outdoor dining. And when travel was permitted, we promoted responsible travel and illuminated the phenomenal job our business community did rising to the challenge to implement health and safety protocols. Keeping our visitors safe, our workers safe, and our residents safe has always been the #1 priority. And that's why we were very hands-on getting masks and sanitizer and consistent safety messaging to hotels and distribution points frequented by visitors. And during our many pandemic pivots, we had to contend with the fact that the travel industry was facing devastating losses. including our own budget, which is traditionally dependent on travel spending. So it's no surprise that travel was one of the hardest hit industries globally during the pandemic. And while not being able to travel may seem like a small sacrifice in the scheme of things, tourism is such an integral part of our economy as a tax revenue generator, and its absence was felt far and wide. And quite frankly, no other crisis has demonstrated more clearly the profound impact of the leisure and hospitality industry. And while we have certainly faced our share of significant challenges here in previous years, haven't we? The magnitude of economic losses since the pandemic began was significant. For one example, since last March, our region lost 640,000 room nights sold by hotels. And that translates to $170 million in missing hotel revenue by rooms alone. And that doesn't even account for catering and other services, nor the 12% transient occupancy tax that would have been collected on these rooms. This once-in-a-lifetime recession led to a staggering 50% unemployment level among our colleagues who make their living working in hotels across the county. In fact, many of you saw your friends and family suddenly without jobs. And of course, the pain wasn't limited to just the lodging industry. Restaurants, retail shops, and art venues experienced crippling losses. Even for those outside the industry, the impact has been severe. Our city and county governments are still feeling the impact of missing taxes paid by travelers. But thankfully, the worst is behind us, and I'm happy to be able to turn more positive news, the strong recovery that's underway along Santa Barbara's South Coast and how we got here. And throughout the pandemic, Visit Santa Barbara had to remain focused and nimble in order to drive the most immediate returns for our community. And given our budget limitations and the need to be able to turn marketing campaigns on and off again quickly, with the roller coaster of shutdowns and the regulatory changes, our market investment was poured directly into digital media campaigns, inspirational stories, and our public relations activities. It was absolutely critical to keep our audiences engaged and inspired, even during the shutdowns. And when we were able to invite our visitors to return initially, we focused on residents in our nearby drive markets who are most likely to visit quickly and often. And as you have probably seen with the activity in town, I'm pleased to report that our marketing has been paying off and Santa Barbara has been in high demand. The surprising pace of that ongoing recovery shows that Santa Barbara remains a very appealing leisure destination. We've also benefited from some positive PR and airlift developments in recent months. Santa Barbara was included in Condé Nast Traveler's prestigious Where to Travel Next hot list, thanks to the efforts of our talented PR team. That, along with other influential press coverage and our paid media activity, gave us a nice boost of visibility as people began planning trips in earnest after months of staying closer to home. And then we have the recently added nonstop flights from Las Vegas, Oakland, and Denver with Southwest Airlines, new San Diego service with Alaska Airlines, and new flights to Chicago and United American Airlines. These open new markets that will further drive demand for our destination while improving accessibility. This is also going to be beneficial to our residents as they begin planning their own summer travel. So looking to the future, we have many reasons to enter the summer season with optimism. Intent to travel has increased to levels we haven't seen since the pandemic began. And with smart, strategic marketing investments, we will ensure our community benefits from this sizable pent-up demand for travel. The increase in air traffic in recent weeks shows just how ready Americans are to get back to traveling. That said, expectations for destinations and businesses to take pandemic precautions remain, and the emphasis on health and safety will continue to be a priority for many travelers. In terms of what experiences travelers seek, Family and friend reunions will be hugely popular trip types. And we hope that you'll feel more comfortable reconnecting and inviting your friends and family to come see you in Santa Barbara this summer. What better place to gather than right here on the American Riviera, right? In closing, I just want to focus on a few key rebuilding opportunities we aim to capitalize on. We've been able to bring the weekend business back to very healthy levels, but there's so much more work to be done to fill hotels midweek with both leisure and business travelers. Right now, our customer base is largely Californian. If our revenue projections are met, Visit Santa Barbara intends to make the largest paid media purchase in our organization's history and expand to out-of-state travelers. We're also focusing on rebuilding our meetings business, which has always been a critical part of the equation when it comes to filling need periods. We're going to continue educating the influential travel agents and tour operators who book and sell travel and whose services are in even greater demand nowadays. We're also going to leverage Santa Barbara's appeal as a wedding destination, a group segment poised to return at a much faster pace than the corporate meeting sector. So all in all, we see great possibilities for recovery as we go into the summer and fall, and I so look forward to rebuilding our tourism business together. The fact is, the whole community stands to benefit from tourism's full recovery. Tourism sustains the quality of life we all value here and funds the vital services our residents rely upon. The team at Visit Santa Barbara will continue doing everything in our power to ensure this community receives the full benefits of tourism's economic and employment potential. So thank you so much for your time, support, and partnership. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Ron Werft, President and CEO of Cottage Health.
Thank you, Kathy, and thanks to the Chamber for inviting me to join this virtual State of the City address. I really appreciate the chance to provide a brief COVID-19 report, a clinical program update, and a construction report from Cottage. I want to start by acknowledging the incredible skill, dedication, and professionalism by all of the health professionals at our hospitals, our clinics, our physicians, and our public health department colleagues. You know, we've had more than our fair share of disasters in our community, but none that lasted this long. I'm amazed at the expertise, the innovation, and the perseverance of those who are there for us 24/7, now for a year and a half. We can never thank them enough. I also want to thank the people of our community for protecting themselves and others, for volunteering at vaccine clinics, and for their ongoing support of our staff. As hard as this has been for so many, we have also seen Santa Barbara at its best. The level of collaboration among our hospitals, the public health department, Sansum Clinic, medical staff at large, the school system has been unprecedented, and it has made a real difference in our preparation and in our execution response to this pandemic. The organizations you see listed here and many others have met at least weekly for over a year, sometimes daily, to coordinate our efforts on everything from PPE to testing to vaccines. With the first case in the United States in January of 2020, we opened our Incident Command Center at Santa Barbara Cottage Hospital. Still in operation today, our focus has been on protection, infection prevention, isolation, and screening protocols for staff, patients, and visitors. Like other hospitals around the country and in our county, we created specialized care units so that we could cohort and use negative pressure units to cohort patients with COVID and safely separate them from all the many patients without COVID who we had to take care of. I want to thank the city for our new hospital. I don't know how we could have done this without the new hospital with its private rooms and all the technology that was included. Our next challenge was personal protective equipment for our staff. There was a national shortage. We learned that very quickly. The state and federal stockpiles were inadequate, a lot of expired materials. And again, Santa Barbara at its best. Local innovation was amazing. UCSB engineers, local Goleta tech firms, and professionals, physicians, and others from Cottage went to work. And one of the outcomes very quickly was 3D printing of face shields because you couldn't get them. So just amazing innovation here locally that solved an important problem. You might all remember that we couldn't get tested early on. Our laboratory, Pacific Diagnostic Lab, created initially one, then two, then multiple platforms for testing, and opened a tent at Goleta Valley Cottage Hospital to begin testing members of our community. Surge planning was next, both inside and outside the hospital. Barney Malekian, who's currently the interim chief of police, was working with the county then, and he was our partner in looking for outside surge capacity. We even looked at the Sears building as a possibility if we couldn't take care of everybody inside the walls. Inside our hospitals, and this is true at Marion and Lompoc and everywhere else, we found a way to, as I said, cohort patients. For us, the first patient with COVID was admitted, and we had 2 negative pressure units for isolation. That increased to 5 at our peak. Today, we're down to 1 with only 2 patients in it. Cancellation of elective procedures. We had to determine which patients needed to go ahead immediately and who could be delayed. Visitor policies, another issue that we dealt with and are still dealing with. We look forward to when we have open access for visitors to all patients. Outreach and education, an important role for us. I want to thank Drs. Fisk and Fitzgibbons and others for literally hundreds of professional updates, media interviews, and panel discussions to educate our community. That has made an incredible difference in our vaccine rates. I think we all know the trends. Let's look at the first slide. We've had 2 major surges in our community with a bump in the middle. And as you can see from this slide, the largest surge and the most significant, more than double the first surge, was in winter of 2021, January at its peak. This second slide shows the impact on our hospitals. At one time, we had over 200 patients just with COVID in our county hospitals. The peak at Santa Barbara Cottage Hospital in January of this year was 103 patients, while we were taking care of many, many other patients. This third slide shows something that you might have seen before, and that's the 7-day trailing positive test rate. And I only show this because this was a very important predictor of hospitalization. When we saw the spikes that you see here on this testing rate, we knew that within 1 to 2 weeks, we were going to get a lot of patients admitted to the hospital with COVID. Very important predictor for us. On December 17th, just before noon, we received our first shipment of vaccines. And by 3 p.m. that day, we were administering vaccines into the staff who were at high risk. I've often referred to that scene as replacing Disneyland as the happiest place on earth. This was an amazing community-wide collaboration. The Public Health Department, Sansom Clinic, who actually was the first to do drive-through vaccine clinics, all of the hospitals, Lompoc, Marion, our clinics, the med centers, individual physician offices got involved. And together, through collaboration, we've now administered over 440,000 doses in our county. For Santa Barbara Cottage Hospital's part, we opened a Goleta drive-up clinic at Goleta Valley Cottage Hospital, and we have now administered over 106,000 doses in 12 lanes at Goleta. It started as a car drive-up clinic, but we have had patients coming through by car, by bus, by walk-in, by bicycle, and even skateboard. This has required nearly 2,000 staff and volunteers in 12 lanes that have been busy giving vaccines as many as 5 days a week. It's been phenomenal. Now, at the beginning, the demand for vaccine far outpaced the vaccine supply, as we know. Today, the demand for first doses is down dramatically. Again, I want to thank all of the providers throughout our county for just a great team effort. So, where are we now? Well, the 2021 winter surge of the virus has really strained our health systems and mostly our healthcare workers. And I would say that we're all still recovering from that. It's been an impact that's been physical, emotional, and financial for many of our health systems and certainly for our healthcare workers. The condition of our community is improving and in fact has improved with the removal of restrictions that we've been living with for over a year now. Our community is now seeing very low COVID-19 case rates. Over 50% of eligible people in the county are fully vaccinated, and we have very low hospitalization numbers as well. But the virus is still here, and it's still mutating. I want to thank UC Santa Barbara, Drs. David Fisk and Fitzgibbons, and Stuart Comer, our public health leaders, Drs. Do Reynoso and Ann Sorg. Thanks to their leadership, we can now test for variants and know what is here in our community. This is critical to keeping our community safe. I would refer you to the county's community dashboard for more information on this. Also, we have a long way to go on vaccines. While 55% of us in the county who are eligible are fully vaccinated, we know that this pandemic has affected the most vulnerable and communities of color disproportionately, including access to vaccines. A lot of work is ongoing to increase vaccine rates among our Hispanic and Latino neighbors. So where do we go from here? Well, as I mentioned, continued efforts on vaccine outreach is very, very important. Again, this is a team effort with many agencies, including the county, of course, and United Way and many others. For Cottage's part, we are partnering with 9 community organizations. We have trained 126 community health ambassadors in 34 zip codes, and we've now distributed over 2,000 COVID prevention kits to help people with this issue. We also can't let our guard down. We have to be ready for variant-related demand increases for our hospitals. We also need to collectively evaluate and figure out what future model will be for vaccine boosters. And finally, we need to determine what has worked, like telemedicine, remote work, and what can we do better, like confidence in our PPE supply chain. I'd like now to share just briefly a couple of clinical program updates. In 2019, in response to a primary care physician shortage and the cost of ER care for low acuity conditions, Cottage began the development of a nurse practitioner-operated urgent care clinics throughout the Tri-Counties. Today, we offer rapid, low-cost care at 11 sites from San Luis Obispo to Camarillo, with 3 more scheduled to open this year and early next year. Also, in December of 2019, we launched Cottage Virtual Care, providing online assessment for low acuity conditions. This was great timing. We've been able to provide care for people who were concerned about accessing the healthcare system during a pandemic, and we've provided free COVID assessment and referral for testing, identifying individuals who were positive for COVID and needed medical attention. Also, this year we gained approval from our board and from the federal government to add a pediatric residency program. Our first class will start in July of 22. This adds to our current programs in internal medicine, general surgery, and radiology. Over 100 members of our medical staff went through our residency program and were trained here. So this is a great recruitment and development tool now for pediatrics as well as other specialties. Lastly, construction. It seems to never end. Today, we are building a new medical office building across from Goleta Valley Cottage Hospital on Hollister to support the recruitment of additional physicians to the Santa Barbara area. Thanks to the City of Santa Barbara, we have approval to build a pediatric medical office building across the street from Santa Barbara Cottage Hospital to allow us to relocate and expand our pediatric subspecialists in the Groton House Multi-Specialty Clinic, part of our Cottage Children's Medical Center. Also, we are relocating Cottage Rehabilitation Hospital from De La Vina to the Goleta Valley campus. This will enable us for rehabilitation patients to offer private rooms, significantly enhanced ancillary support, and a brand new aquatic center to support their physical needs. Lastly, we are completing the seismic retrofit at Santa Ynez Valley Cottage Hospital. I want to close by thanking the Chamber and the City for its leadership and support, and thank all who have worked so hard to protect our community. It's now my pleasure to introduce Francois DeJohn from Hayes Commercial Group.
Hello, I'm Francois DeJohn, partner and co-founder of Hayes Commercial Group, and I'm honored to speak before you today about the Santa Barbara commercial real estate market. As with most sectors of the economy, the COVID-19 pandemic profoundly affected commercial real estate during the past 15 months, creating significant challenges for most tenants, property owners, and our local government. I'd like to review some of the impacts of the pandemic in the context of recent historical trends, along with some surprises and bright spots that have emerged in the market. I will also take a look ahead. The increase in vaccinations and the decrease in COVID case rates will dramatically change economic behavior during the remainder of 2021 and beyond. As restrictions are lifted, most Santa Barbarans will return to a semblance of normal life, and we will continue to see an influx of tourists and new residents from larger cities in the U.S. These developments prompt two key questions for commercial real estate. How steep will the recovery curve be? And what lasting shifts in the use of commercial space, particularly office and retail, might result from the pandemic? While the first quarter of 2021 was slow, market activity has picked up in Q2. And heading into summer, there is cause for optimism and improving prospects for economic recovery ahead. Here are some highlights on the commercial real estate market during the pandemic. Commercial sales were stronger than expected in 2020, only down 6% from 2019. But sales activity is down 19% in 2021. Leasing activity has been slow throughout the pandemic, with volume down 13% in 2021 and down 21% in 2020. Sale inventory has increased 27% in 2021, with 67 properties on the market. Available space for lease has increased 65% during the pandemic, mostly due to the availability of the Macy's, Nordstrom's, and Sears buildings, which added over 430,000 square feet to the market. On the positive side, sales and leasing activity has definitely picked up, and the balance of 2021 is expected to be more active. Further, sale prices and rental rates have been very stable, down less than 5% since 2019. Commercial sales. The remarkable story of 2020 was the unexpected surge of commercial sales in the second half of the year, which produced 34 transactions valued at $132 million. The standout sale in Santa Barbara was the 49,000 square foot Amazon building at 1001 State, which sold to an out-of-town investor for $36 million. Meanwhile, 10 industrial properties changed hands in 2020, one of the busier years on record. For retail property, 2020 was the lowest volume year since 2011. There were only 4 sales on State Street in downtown Santa Barbara, including 330 State Street, the former Casablanca restaurant, which traded for $6.3 million. Not surprisingly, there are currently 27 retail properties for sale in Santa Barbara, a record high. So far in 2021, after a slow start in the first quarter, sales volume has gained momentum in the second quarter. The Libero office building at 924 Anacapa Street was recently purchased by a local investor for $16.5 million, and a 3-building industrial portfolio in the Funk Zone traded for $10.4 million, which received multiple offers. Office leasing. Following the successful lease of the former Saks building to Amazon, downtown Santa Barbara is seeing new examples of retail space being repositioned as office. Pacific Retail, which owns most of Paseo Nuevo, is marketing the upper 2 floors of the former Macy's building as office space, looking to attract high-tech tenants for 20 to 40,000 square foot increments. Similarly, the former Nordstrom's building at Paseo Nuevo will also be marketed as an office opportunity later this year. Santa Barbara is not alone in having large retail spaces repositioned into office. It's happening in cities across the country. The availability of the second and third floors of the Macy's and Nordstrom's building, combined with many professional office users looking to right-size their operations, has increased the vacancy to an all-time high of 13%. On a better note, transaction volume is up 6% from 2020, and we are starting to see leasing activity pick up as tenants begin to plan their transition back to the office in the second half of this year. Rental rates have also remained flat throughout the pandemic and only down 4% from 2019. The biggest issue on everyone's mind is what the future of office will look like, and this remains to be seen. There will clearly be a segment of workforce that will continue to work from home on a permanent or part-time basis. However, I think most would agree that the personal interaction and collaboration that the office provides is greatly missed. I would also contend that people have very short memories, as evidenced by the hot residential market in Montecito, post-mudslides and fires. Retail leasing. The pandemic has contributed to an increase of Santa Barbara retail inventory, which stands near the historic high at 67 spaces available and a 5% vacancy rate. However, 2 years ago, there were 70 spaces available. So the market has been incredibly resilient as many owners, tenants, and the government have worked hard to keep these businesses open. To be frank, I've been very surprised that we have not seen a big increase in retail vacancy. The most obvious impact of the pandemic has been outdoor dining. The city's move early in the pandemic to allow restaurants to add seating outdoors was crucial for keeping restaurants afloat. The other major lifeline has been federal relief to restaurants, which is ongoing. This government support has contributed to surprisingly few permanent restaurant closings during the past year. The city and community now have difficult decisions to make regarding whether and how much of the outdoor dining and State Street Promenade will be made permanent. The parklets have clearly been a boon for restaurants and have brought State Street back to life. But they need to be thoughtfully designed so all tenants and owners and our community will benefit from them. For brick and mortar retail, non-restaurant, the trend that the pandemic has made more obvious is the divergence between daily needs retail compared to destination retail. Daily needs is grocery-anchored centers or strip malls like Loretta Plaza and 5 Point Center, where you can't get a parking spot. Destination retail is La Cumbre Plaza, Paseo Nuevo, and the State Street corridor. Setting aside the 3 vacant anchor buildings, the 2 malls and State Street are carrying double-digit vacancy, while daily use retail vacancy is around 2%. The restaurants at La Cumbre Plaza are doing great, but the rest of the mall is struggling. This reflects the shift in consumer behavior happening nationally, and retailers and mall owners are struggling to adapt. The vacant 149,000 square foot Sears building at La Cumbre is on the market for lease on a short-term basis, preserving the owner's flexibility to develop the property into a mixed use or residential concept. The rest of the mall continues to deal with approximately a 20% vacancy. The downtown State Street corridor has seen a modest recovery since the peak 2 years ago, or 2 quarters ago. The storefront vacancy rate on the 400 to 1300 block is currently 14%, down from 18% last fall. While any improvement is welcome, there are still 28 vacancies in the 5-block stretch from 600 to 1000 State Street. Demand from national retailers for downtown space has been virtually non-existent, and most of the recent leases were signed by local or regional concerns. Meanwhile, the demand for retail space on Coast Village Road and the Funk Zone has been very strong. Industrial leasing. At the national level, industrial property has been the least impacted property type by the pandemic, as the surge in online shopping drove demand for warehouse and distribution space. In addition, most businesses in industrial space have been able to operate as usual while maintaining COVID-19 safety protocols. In Santa Barbara, industrial has indeed proved to be the most resilient property type since the beginning of 2020, and demand has remained very strong. Relative to its size, Santa Barbara has a limited supply of existing industrial property. Demand is always sufficient to keep vacancy very low, and this has been true during the pandemic as well. The turmoil of the past year has had little effect on the industrial vacancy rate, which is currently 1%. And achieved rents set a new average high mark of $211 gross per square foot in 2020. The high rents reflect the trend in recent years in which much of the demand for industrial space has been spillover from hybrid retail and office tenants, such as tasting rooms, fitness businesses, and high-tech companies. The added demand from the tenants who are used to paying higher rent, combined with a short supply of existing space within the city, has led to a gentrification of Santa Barbara industrial space. As a result, some traditional industrial tenants, construction trades, manufacturing, automotive repair, have left the city. This process is most pronounced in the Funk Zone, but can also be found in other pockets as well. In summary, the city of Santa Barbara has experienced many of the same real estate struggles that other cities have faced during the pandemic, but we have weathered the storm surprisingly well. I remain very optimistic about our city, as it always will be one of the most beautiful places to live and work on the planet, and I'm certain that better days are ahead, as our downtown will undergo revitalization, kicked into high gear by the pandemic. Thank you very much.
Thank you to all of our keynote speakers for this important information. We appreciate all you do for our great community. We have an important election coming up this November. Residents will be electing the mayor of Santa Barbara. At this year's State of the City, we have a unique opportunity to hear from several candidates about their business-oriented plans and priorities. Today, we will hear from mayoral candidates James Joyce, Randy Rouse, and Deborah Schwartz. Please join me in welcoming them now.
Good morning. I'm James Joyce III, and I'm running to be your mayor. Some of you may know me from my local work on behalf of our state legislators for the past decade, first as a staffer for then Assemblymember Das Williams, and then district director for State Senator Hannah Jackson until she termed out of office. Others of you may know me from my initiative turned business that I launched in this community 5 years ago called Coffee with the Black Guy, which is essentially facilitating authentic and tough conversations about race and perspective. I'm running for mayor because what we've been doing isn't working, and we can do it better. Our city is disconnected from its government. My campaign started with a conversation, and we haven't stopped since. The way I see it, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, because listening is important. On day 1, I'll bring a change of approach to our city. I'm going to sit down with each individual council member and ask them for their 5 biggest priorities. And from there, we can strategically plot a path forward towards success for our community. Rather than being seen as an impediment to business, our city needs to be a resource for our local businesses. That means tearing down roadblocks and being proactive in addressing the needs of local businesses. This is an incredibly tough place to start a business. I know that, I've seen that, and it's time for us as a community to flip that on its head. We can do more to care for our local business. Invest in a Shop Local program. Work more proactively with groups like the Chamber, and create a business outreach officer or ombudsman to assist our local businesses in leveraging any available grants, both public and private. We've all been inside for a year, and it's time for us to come roaring back. Come back as a community together. We've been divided for far too long, but we are all united in our love for this beautifully, beautiful community. This campaign is about conversations and building community, and I hope you will join me as we work together to finally find solutions that will allow our great city to thrive into the future. You can learn more and join our campaign at joyceformayor.com, and I ask for your vote for James Joyce for mayor on November 2nd. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Randy Rouse, and I'd like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for this opportunity to speak to you and give kudos for this creative way of presenting this year's State of the City. Anywhere you go in the world, the name Santa Barbara sparks immediate recognition and envy. We truly do inhabit one of the most remarkable spots on the planet. As the world emerges from COVID, the economy, world travel, education, and business are all facing challenges in uncharted waters. Our hospitality industry is recovering as quickly as government restrictions allow. Our schools are reopening, and the increase in surface road traffic indicates that vitality is returning. Retail is busy rebounding from issues that were apparent even prior to the pandemic, but activity along our State Street corridor is gaining momentum every day. Santa Barbara's natural and architectural beauty continue to make our city a world-class treasure. Our business community not only offers a welcoming and wonderful experience to our visitors, but is the essential element to providing the jobs and the tax base needed to maintain this positive trajectory. There are hurdles that currently impede a full return to the vitality that is the hallmark of our city. Certainly, the presence of people experiencing homelessness was exacerbated during the pandemic as county and state agencies discouraged bringing people into crowded shelters. But that emergency is quickly coming to an end, and civic strategies and political courage have yet to emerge from this situation to bring the situation under control. Public safety, always a top priority for a community, once again showed their stripes in preventing the loss of life and property during a very recent and dramatic Loma fire. But council is struggling to ignore the outside calls for diminishing public safety and the infrastructure that support our men and women who serve. Lastly, focus and leadership have been in question of late. The toxic partisan politics that inhabit our nation, our state capital, and even our county have no place in City Hall. These are difficult, taxing, and transitional times, and a laser-like focus on local matters is needed now more than ever. So I'd like to close with a word about the Chamber, our business community, and why we are here today in this format. This would normally be a time for the mayor to address the community at a gala event that brings the businesses of greater Santa Barbara area together. The unity between City Hall and business was, in times past, thought of as a partnership, which indeed it should be. And while I'm pleased to be speaking to you today as a candidate, I'm sad that the mayor has taken the unfortunate position of disregarding that relationship. I owned a downtown business and was an active chamber member for nearly 4 decades. And this organization honored me by naming me Business Person of the Year in 2019. Our businesses serve us, are our neighbors, employ us, and support our schools. Without local business, there is no city of Santa Barbara, plain and simple. It is my hope that next year I will be invited to this Grand Chamber event as the mayor and as your guest. So heartfelt thankful to the Chamber, and we'll see you in November. Thank you.
My name is Deborah Schwartz. Thank you to the Chamber for inviting me to speak to your members and guests at the 2021 Santa Barbara State of the City. In these extraordinary times, ordinary leadership is not sufficient. In our next mayor, our community needs extraordinary, demonstrated qualities in temperament, knowledge, and cross-government and business sector relationship building. Santa Barbara is my hometown. Then after college, I went on to a successful corporate career in San Francisco before returning in order to care for my senior parents and deeply invest myself in the community I love. Now, as a seasoned planning commissioner and business professional, our city is facing a once-in-a-generation crossroads with 3 main crises: unprecedented homeless on our streets, a continued housing inventory shortage, and economic vitality threats. Effectively addressing homelessness requires a robust strategic plan, whereas the city has none. Helping to move our homeless out of spreading encampments into safe, appropriately placed housing with on-site supportive services will require millions of dollars for short and long-term solutions. I am the only one of the 4 mayoral candidates who has the necessary relationships in Sacramento and Washington to effectively advocate for these required funds to address our homeless population. Our housing shortage, especially for the missing middle, can only be effectively addressed through a commitment by mayor and council in changing policies and, even more importantly, internal department practices that have delayed and burdened housing development approvals. Over 90% of the multi-unit family rentals in our city have been and will continue to be constructed by the private sector. Let's be clear, city electeds who have served in office over the past decade and more are responsible for the housing inventory crisis and have not earned the community's confidence to continue or return. Local businesses are our economy's lifeblood. Local employers provide diverse jobs to locals who have families, serve on nonprofit boards, and philanthropically contribute to economic vibrancy and sustainability of our city. A respectful, collaborative relationship between the mayor and business community is essential. There has never been a more important time than now for productive relationships to be forged between City Hall and our business community. This year, the current mayor chose to exclude City Hall from the State of the City, historically co-hosted by the City and Chamber. I am deeply grateful that our Chamber of Commerce continued the tradition on its own and hold this very important event. I know we all look forward to meeting in person at next year's event. Thank you again.
Thank you to all of our speakers and candidates and all of you for tuning in today. We look forward to connecting with you soon. Our first in-person event will be our State of the County in August. Please watch for more information.